In Istanbul, there are palaces with doorways too small for any human hand, carved balconies, miniature domes, real architects. Here is the standard story of every right you have. It was earned by blood, centuries of struggle, petition by petition, war by war, and that story is mostly true. This film is the great exception. A place where mercy arrived early, arrived all at once, and reached further down the ladder of creation than anyone had yet written into law. To understand it, you have to climb that ladder yourself, level by level. This is every level of mercy in Islamic civilization. Before you climb, open the book this civilization carried. 113 of its 114 chapters begin with the same two names, al-Rahman, al-Rahim, the most merciful, the most compassionate. Both names grow from a single root, Rahim, the womb. A beloved teaching goes further. The merciful says, I created the womb and I carved its name from my own. And on his throne, the tradition says, is written, my mercy prevails over my wrath. So in this worldview, mercy is not a rule added to the world. It is the nature of the one who made it. And the book calls the animals communities like yourselves. Every level that follows is somebody taking those words literally. It starts with a cup of water. Level 1 is a story, one of the most famous in the Islamic tradition, recorded in Bukhari and Muslim, the two collections Muslims vet most rigorously. A traveller climbs down a well to drink, and when he climbs out, he finds a dog panting in the dust, so thirsty it is eating the wet earth. The traveller climbs back down, fills his leather shoe with water, holds it in his teeth as he climbs, and gives it to the dog. And God forgives him everything. In another narration, the rescuer isn't a respectable man at all. She's a prostitute, someone her society had already written off. Same dog, same water, same total forgiveness. The people around the prophet were startled and asked, we're rewarded for animals? The answer, in every living being, there is reward. Notice the architecture of this story. The beneficiary is a dog, a low-status animal. The hero is a person of low status, and the payoff is the highest currency the tradition has. Mercy, at this level, reveals what a society claims God sees in the people and creatures it despises. But a story about one cup of water is still just a story. The tradition's next move is stranger, because the second story is not a promise, it's a warning. Level 2. The same collections preserve the mirror image, and it does not flinch. A woman was condemned to hell, not for what she did to a person, for a cat. She locked it up. She would not feed it. She would not set it free to feed itself. It starved, and for that she entered the fire. Read those two stories together and you get a moral pair that most ancient legal systems simply do not have. Mercy toward vulnerable life can redeem a despised human being, and domination without care can condemn a respectable one. Ownership in this architecture is not power, it's debt. You possess the animal, therefore you owe it. And once you've said that out loud, something remarkable becomes possible. Because the next level isn't a story about what a human did to an animal. It's a story about an animal testifying against a human. Level 3. In a report the tradition carries, the prophet enters a grove, and a work camel comes to him and weeps. He wipes its head, then turns to its owner with a question that treats hunger and exhaustion as testimony. Do you not fear God concerning this animal? Another report. Soldiers on the road take chicks from a nest, and the mother bird circles overhead, beating her wings. The order comes, return them. And this rests on the strongest, most rigorously verified layer of the tradition, where the prophet flatly forbade using any living creature as target practice. Entertainment is not a justification for suffering. At this level, animals are no longer scenery in human moral life. Fear counts, grief counts, exhaustion counts as things a just human must answer for. But feelings, even sacred ones, fade. Sentiment dies with the sentimental. So the jurists did something with these stories that almost no legal culture of the age did. They turned mercy into obligation. Level 4. A teaching recorded in Muslim. God has prescribed excellence, ihsan, in all things, even in killing. If you must slaughter, sharpen the blade and spare the animal pain. Mercy is not suspended at the moment of death, it governs it. And the jurists built on it. Classical schools held that an owner is obligated to feed and water the animal he owns, a duty a judge could compel. In the market, the inspector's manuals put it in writing: an animal should not carry what it cannot bear. Read that again, a medieval job description, telling a city official to check the load on a donkey's back. Enforced perfectly, century to century? Of course not. No law ever is. But the standard was written, and the standard could be invoked. A story asks you to be moved. A law tells you what you owe. That's a real rung on the ladder. But there is a harder test than the marketplace. The place where every civilization's mercy goes to die, the battlefield. Level 5. In the year 632, the Caliph Abu Bakr sends an army towards Syria with standing orders that Malik's collection preserves. Do not kill a woman, not a child, not the old. Do not cut down a fruit-bearing tree. Do not destroy an inhabited place. Do not slaughter a sheep or a camel, except to eat it. Leave the monks in their monasteries alone. The prophet before him had forbidden killing women and children outright, that's in Bukhari and Muslim, and when he appointed a commander, the appointment itself came bantered, no away from wit, so true, treachery, no mutilation, no killing of children. Restraint wasn't a general's personal virtue. It was in the job description. Now widen the lens, because context is the whole point. The wars of that age, Byzantium against Persia, were siege, sack, and deportation. Centuries later, a crusader chronicler at Jerusalem would describe riding through the fallen city in blood up to the bridle reins, and he was celebrating. Was the code always kept? No. Armies besieged and enslaved here too. But here is what has no parallel. Restraint toward the powerless. Written down as binding religious law, standing orders to armies, while most of the world's armies answered to no one at all. Rules can restrain cruelty. There is a level above restraining cruelty. Paying for mercy. And this civilization built a legal machine for exactly that. Level 6, the waqf, an endowment. A legal instrument that takes productive property, an orchard, a row of shops, a bathhouse, and locks its revenue forever to a charitable purpose. Not a donation, an institution with a deed, a manager, and a budget line that outlives its founder by centuries. This is the machine that funded the great hospitals. The Bimaristans, in Baghdad, Damascus, Cairo, where care was free at the point of need, funded by endowment revenue centuries before anything comparable existed in most of the world. And the same machine reached animals. Ottoman records and travelers describe endowments that fed street dogs and cats. Accounts from Damascus tell of an endowment for old and injured animals. A few of these blur into legend, but the institution itself is beyond doubt. A civilization that built financial machinery to keep mercy running long after the merciful were gone. Sit with the concept for a second. A civilization inventing a financial instrument whose entire purpose is to make compassion permanent. to keep mercy running after the merciful are dead. And in one city, that machine left evidence you can still stand under today. Palaces for sparrows. Level 7. On the walls of Ottoman mosques, schools and houses, you can still find them across Istanbul. Bird palaces. Miniature mansions in carved stone, mounted high where cats can't climb and the north wind doesn't bite. Tiny domes. Tiny balconies. Some echo the silhouette of the great mosques beside them. Functionally, they're shelters, warmth, safety, elevation. But function doesn't explain the ornament. Nobody carves marble balconies for a creature they merely tolerate. The ornament is a sentence written in stone. The sparrow is a guest of this city, and a guest is owed beauty. The cup of water from level 1 become architecture. And still, a palace for a songbird is mercy for a creature it costs little to love. Which is why the tradition itself points one rung higher to the hardest question in all of animal ethics. The question is not what you owe an animal that serves you, it's what you owe the animal that can't serve you anymore. Level 8. The jurist's logic was already pointing here. If ownership creates a duty to feed, several classical schools held that the duty doesn't expire when the animal's usefulness does. You fed it when it carried you. You feed it when it can't. The animal spent its strength in your service. That spending created a debt. Now hold that ladder against what came later, at the height of Europe's scientific revolution, when the reigning philosophy looked at an animal and said, in effect,
a machine, an automaton of gears and springs. It does not think, and whatever it feels, no one is home to feel it.
That was not a fringe view, it was the doctrine of some of the best educated minds alive, and it kept animal pain invisible for 2 centuries. Even Europe's gentlest teachers argued that cruelty to animals was wrong mainly because it coarsens the man. The animal itself was owed nothing. Understand, this is not a story about wicked people. It is a warning about worldviews. A civilization only protects what its way of seeing lets it see. So, was it perfect? No civilization is, but measure what it wrote. 1200 years after these instructions were first spoken, England passed its first law against animal cruelty. 1822. Only once before had power even attempted this, Ashoka's edicts, in India. And India's traditions of non-violence were, in some ways, stricter. Concede it. Then notice what no one else built: continuity. Not a king's edict that faded with his empire, law beneath the king, in a book every child memorized, running 1,000 years. And the top rung, still open. No civilization, theirs or ours, has fully built it. One more thing the textbooks left out. In the 10th century, in Basra, a circle of thinkers wrote a courtroom drama. The animals of the earth bring suit against humanity and press their case. 8 centuries before Europe's first animal cruelty law. One fable does not make a society kind. The geniuses are never the average. But mark where the imagination was already pointing. And mark this: technology only moves forward, mercy does not. It can reset in a generation. Some of the most advanced economies on Earth today lack protections this civilization wrote into law 14 centuries ago. In Bursa, the records describe an Ottoman guest house with one kind of guest, injured storks, wintering until they could fly again. Mercy built to outlive the feeling that built it. Now look back down the ladder. A dying dog. A condemned woman. Forgiven. A camel's complaint. Heard. A sparrow's palace. Every rung is the same law seen from a different height, worth without usefulness. None of them could repay it. That was the point. The name on nearly every page of the book means mercy, like the womb, the love that asks nothing back. They carved that into stone so it would outlast feeling. This film is the same wager, made in light. If your book begins with mercy 113 times, this ladder is not a museum. It is a mirror. And if it is not your book, the top rung is still open, and whoever builds it next inherits the whole constellation.